Welcome, and thank you for joining us on Straight Grown Talk. Today, I have some wonderful guests in the building to talk about the year-end business. So, everyone, I want you to sit back, get relaxed, find you something to drink, which is some water preferably, and get ready to talk about end of the year business. So, on this show, we're going to talk about structure, the things you need to do for your business to get ready for the end of the year. I want to thank everyone, including my sponsors, for sponsoring Straight Grown Talk. As you guys know, this is a community-based show. We are here to share the word with our communities and educate you on financial literacy, wealth, etc. So sit back and join Straight Grown Talk and Family and Friends. Your host, Laquel Farley, the seed sower of education. We will be back momentarily with our guests. Thank you. Mwah. Welcome back to Straight Grown Talks. I am your host, Laquel Farley, with friends. I have two wonderful hosts today. This segment is our end of the year biz conversation. As you guys are aware, we're about to enter into the Christmas season, but I always like to prepare our entrepreneurs and everyone for the end of the year stuff and what to expect. And let's get to talking about things you should know and do for your business. So today we have co-host Sean Harris.
Hi there.
And we have co-host Miss Sharon Mason.
Hello.
So today we're going to start off with the things that you guys should already know. So as you guys know, at some point of your life, you decided you wanted to become an entrepreneur. With becoming an entrepreneur, you had to do certain things. And first thing I hope you did was you put a vision together and a plan of what you wanted to accomplish. After you did that, you hopefully researched and found that you needed to have some type of business structure. So let's talk about the business structure for a minute. You should have first went to your Secretary of State and got your license through the Secretary of State. Now, if you're going to work in your counties, you have to check with your local county offices and make sure you get business license with them too. So yes, you do most of the time have to get 2 business licenses to operate in the state of Georgia. So I'm only talking about Georgia right now. Then moving forward, you should have gotten an EIN number and you should have established yourself with that, as well as you should then set your profile up. So let me tell you a little bit of snippets. First, make sure everything that you do is consistent. So whatever you put it in the Secretary of State should match your EIN paperwork. It should also match what you put on social media. It should also match what you put into your file for businesses, because when you're going to get loans and stuff like that, that's essential. They have to, your record has to match. Your profile have to be set up professionally. So for all these people that go into business and think, oh, I'm creating a business, I came up with a name, and they start making business cards and they start calling people and say, I do business, but they have no licenses, no nothing anywhere. No, you're not in business. So I hate to tell you that. That is a myth. You have to go through the steps. So once you get those things, you have to get your SCIC numbers in order, and you have to do your sales tax numbers. If you're doing a services or if you're doing labor, you take that number as well. So find out what you need to start your business. So if you're in trucking, you have a little bit more steps to do. Mm-hmm. If you're in professional services, such as being a doctor, a lawyer, or anything else, you have other licenses you have to get as well. Make sure you set the tone for your business by following the structure that you've written down for yourself, but educate yourself by research. So once you set your profile up, the next step you should do is get a Dun & Bradstreet number. That profile has to be set. Now, I get a lot of phone calls, me personally, about, do I have to pay this astronomical high amount fee to Dun & Bradstreet? Nope. If you know how to do it, it doesn't cost you that much money. In fact, most of the time, if you do it right, when I'm telling you about setting up your profile, it wouldn't cost you a dime. But, however, you do what's best for you, because some people can't do it because they're not familiar with that playing field. If you're not familiar with that playing field, I do advise you to get expert legal advice or expert advice. It doesn't have to be legal. You just need to get someone that actually know what they're doing, not someone that's just going to tell you a quick answer, but they need to be able to explain it. So understand, when we're talking about businesses, and as we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about the LLCs. We're going to talk about the S Corp. We're going to talk about the C Corp. We're going to talk about structure. This is what this show is about for our Christmas edition. So I'm going to be quiet and let our hostesses also come in and start talking as well, because I can't go on. So I'm going to start off with some structures. And I want Mr. Sean Harris to jump in, because as you guys know from the many opportunities that he's been on my show with, he is the man to talk to when it comes to business. We're also going to talk about taxes, and this is Miss Love, that she's going to talk about the tax ram of it. So today's show, sit back, get a pen, take notes. Or you can watch this show later, go to YouTube, internet, Facebook, Instagram. We're on all your social media outlets. So please make sure you play review again and review the show. So my first question to you, Sean, is, after we've done the first steps of setting up the business entity, what are the next steps that you would like to share with everyone?
Well, with that, you have to determine which is going to be the best entity. If it's going to be a sole proprietor, C Corp. And I remember years ago, everybody was running after the C Corp, but then they found out, as I'm sure you're going to share with them a little bit, you get double taxation on that. LLC is tending to be the best suit for most people at this particular point. And the whole purpose of getting the entity is for protection.
Correct.
That's going to be your main basis. Once you do that, when doing an LLC, for example, here in Georgia, it's pretty much the same in all the other states. You have to also get your articles of organization.
Correct.
If you're going to do a C Corp or S Corp, you have to do articles of incorporation. And it's pretty simple to do. But again, if you don't know what you're doing, make sure you get a professional to help you out.
Correct.
Once you get past that point, as you said, you want to get an EIN. EIN does not cost you anything.
Correct.
You'll see many websites that'll say it'll cost you X amount of dollars to do that, but all you have to do is go to irs.gov,
Correct.
Get that taken care of. It only takes about 10 minutes, if that. Next thing you want to do, as you said, get a Dun & Bradstreet number. There's many ways you can go about that. You can do the super rapid process where they try to charge you, as you said, an astronomical amount of money, or you just do it the free route, and you have to kind of do it yourself. So you can do it with you, do it for you, different models. After doing that, depends on your particular business structure. We're going to look into some insurances. That's going to be another form of asset protection. Once you've done that, and I want to backtrack too. Let's go back to the LLC or whatever entity you're going to use.
Okay.
Let's get very good at using professional names.
Correct.
A lot of people start companies and they have the most weirdest names, or they have long names, and you want the name of your company to either reflect the mission and the goal of your company, or at least let people know what it is that you do.
Correct.
Because the last thing you want to do is have all these different business cards. I do this, I do that, I do this. So you want to just kind of focus that in and hone in on a specialty. Let's see, after you've done that, you want to get off and running. Get off and running with your business. And as we're closing out this year, I always tell people close strong. In your fourth quarter, you always want to close strong so you have momentum. It's like running a race.
Yes.
When we're running a race, you don't run to the finish line, you run through the finish line.
Yes.
So as we're going into 2020, you want to go into it with 2020 vision and go in it with momentum. You don't want to start up January the 1st and say, all right, let's get going. You want to already have that momentum going, closing out 2019.
And so right now, you should already be setting your vision for 2020.
Exactly.
With writing down what you're wanting your company to do for 2020.
Yes.
I tell people that are just starting off, the first thing you should be doing for 2020, if you don't have one, is come up with a business plan. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yes. Again, in the primitive days, a business plan consisted of a big volume of pages that didn't really amount to much. A business plan can be very simple. It's pretty much just showing the mission statement, the vision, the focus. And more importantly, the business plans are more so being used with investors.
Correct.
So if you're going to use an investor to help you fund capital for startup for your company.
Or even banks.
Yes,
banks.
definitely.
You need them for banks because a bank won't even consider you giving you money without that business plan.
Right.
That's true.
And what is a business plan? A plan of your business, basically.
Correct.
And it just kind of shows that you've taken time and due diligence when it comes to being able to structure your business. What's going to be your game plan? What do we see this for the first 4 quarters of this year? What do we see ourselves 5 years from now to make an investor want to work with you, or at least have the fundamental foundation of your business?
Right.
And as you say, a business account. You got to get a professional business account. You can't get a business account without those things we just talked about.
And let me stop you there. When you said a business account, I'm not talking about doing business as.
Right.
I'm talking about the actual company's
Business
name.
account. Yes.
We're not talking about your name and then DBA, then the business name. We're not talking
Right.
about that. That's not what we're talking about. If you're in business, you should be talking about getting your business its own identity. Now, that is very essential when it comes to you're trying to establish yourself away from the business. So the purpose of, like Mr. Harris said, in regards to LLC, S Corp, C Corp, is you're separating yourself from the business so that you're setting yourself up basically so you won't get sued. That's essential for when you're doing business. And the reason why he talked about insurance is because also every business and company should have insurance based upon what you're doing. But let's say hypothetically you have a client and they're not happy about your service, or something happened tragically. Like, say for instance, you're in service, you had a service guy come out, he falls and negligently on the client's property. Well, he can sue the client, but he also can sue you too. He can not only sue your company, but he can sue you individually if you don't have your company structure set up right. So you want to make sure that you take the time to set your business structure up right so that you're not held liable for that particular person or whatever happened in the situation. So that's why I was talking about as making sure your entity is set up. So, and then also you want to make sure, and I'm quite sure that Sharon is going to talk about that in a minute, about no commingling. I see many companies start business and they use their business accounts for everything, including personal. That's not a business. You should have a business account and you should have a personal account. Can you elaborate on that?
Yes, absolutely. One thing that you want to be careful about is when you have your business account and your personal account, like she said, is commingling funds. Because if you ever got audited and the IRS asks for your records and they realize that you're using personal for business, guess what? It's no longer business.
That's right.
It's personal. And audits can be very serious. It can, for some people, it can actually close their business down. So you always want to make sure, the number one thing, just to piggyback on the business account, is you want to make sure that you have essential record keeping. Make sure your record keeping is A1. If you have advertising, you want to make sure that when you put it on your tax return, what you have verbatim is what you have exactly on that Schedule C.
Okay, so I heard you say a few minutes ago about record keeping.
Record keeping.
What does that look like for a business? Can you tell me what they should be expecting? What they need to do to get started?
Listen, there are so many great apps out here. QuickBooks have 1 million apps. If you are not a good record keeper, it's okay. Get QuickBooks. Download the app, link it to your bank account, let it work for you. Or you do have people out here who are bookkeepers, and they will absolutely keep your books. But if you don't want to spend the extra money, QuickBooks is a very good tool. There are quite a few apps out there that can help you mileage IQ for your miles. I personally use QuickBooks Self-Employed. It's very simple. It's easy. You can always go back in there and you can retro act any particular transaction that's in there. You can go back and say, well, I want to move this to this account or move that to that account. You just want to have excellent record keeping. That keeps the IRS off your butt.
Yes, it does. And believe me, you do not want to get audited because it's a horrible thing to go through.
It really is.
They don't go
really
back
is.
just at the year they're auditing. They go back years prior to. So they can
Yes.
go back many years just to make sure your structure of business is accordingly. So make sure that you have, again, we're talking about structure, make sure you have that together. Now, I heard you say about the different apps, but I also want you to talk about how they can come to you as well for services.
Well,
'cause you do it
absolutely,
too.
absolutely. My specialty is self-employed, and the reason why I picked that particular specialty is because when I started out with taxes some years ago, I used to have a construction company. And I would hear these terminologies, write off, you can do this, you can do that, I didn't understand. So I took a class, and after that class, I fell in love with taxes.
Oh, wow.
And then I went back and got my accounting degree, and currently in school getting my master's. And I learned so much about taxes, and I got ripped off. So after my little ripoff, I was like, you know what? I want to help my people understand what it is that we're doing. And I find that in Georgia is a state of serial entrepreneurs, not just entrepreneurs. People have multiple businesses. And that's another thing. When you have multiple businesses, each business is its own business. You can't lump it together. That's easy, but that's wrong. And that will cause you an audit as well. You want to make sure that each business has its separate tax return. Well, you can do bookkeeping together, but you want to make sure you have a really good system that they come and say, okay, well, we want to see what's for XYZ company, ABC company. You can say, hey, I got this for this, that for that. So basically, when it comes to the IRS, they work on an honor system. They don't know what you make until you report what you make.
Yes.
So once you say, hey, I made 100,000, that's what they're going to go by. So it's up to you to keep good records, to make sure that you're honest about what you're making. And at the end of the day, you just want to make sure that your business is set up correctly, because the way you set it up can really, really help you, or it can hurt you, because you can be a LLC tax individually, which goes on your 1040. That's something else we're going to talk about. But at the same time, you can be an S corp, but you have pass-through entities, pass-through taxes, and that's a whole nother segment as well.
Correct.
But just make sure you're set up correctly. I mean, that's really important. If you're set up correctly, then you're set up for success.
Yes.
Yes,
Now,
absolutely.
Shun, we have different banks, and I know like Bank of America, Fifth Third, Wells Fargo has set up where they try to make it easy for small business owners to be able to keep records. So I know like Wells Fargo and Bank of America does something where they have like a plan. So however many times we swipe our cards, it sets it up so at the end of the year it tells us like you paid rent, you paid light, gas, you had gas for the car, you ate, you did different things. It keeps it in order. What do you feel that is, to your knowledge, is that a good tool, or would you say go further, as Ms. Sharon said about using the QuickBooks and stuff like that? What is your
It depends on the bank structure itself. Again, if you're savvy with QuickBooks, I'd always recommend doing that. It's kind of like Oprah says, but I'm like that. I sign all my checks. Every single check goes out in all the corporations. I sign everything. But as you also know, too, we also teach private family banking systems. So that's where I would actually recommend to go in that direction. But as far as bookkeeping with your regular banks, if it's a good system, something comparable with QuickBooks, then that would be fine. But I'm just kind of that hands-on person myself.
Me too.
And like
I'm
keep my hands on
that.
it.
I'm just old-fashioned.
Spreadsheets work.
And,
Yes, I still use those. I have it set up and I go on my computer and I literally write everything down. So I'm definitely old school. I'm just,
And I would also like to say, get with Sharon on a situation like that, because a lot of times a bank, their goal is to make money, of course.
Yes.
That's
So
right.
they're going to tell you what's going to be most beneficial for the bank and not necessarily for your business entity.
Correct.
So that's why, again, I would, because Sharon would be what's considered a part of your team. When we talk about building businesses, you want to have, whether it's CPAs, you want to have realtors, attorneys, whatever it is, but you want to formulate your team. So with that, having Sharon like on your team of your financial board, basically,
correct.
she's going to be more beneficial to tell you what's going to be the most copious thing for your particular business, because everybody has different business entities. Like you said, whether you're in the trucking industry, whether you're in the cosmetology industry, she can better kind of hone in on that and give you better directive. So that's what I would do. Just my personal opinion.
Right.
I would focus on something where I have more hands-on.
And unfortunately, you have a lot of people who do have businesses set up, as you said earlier, and they don't know how to set it up correctly. And even in the midst of an audit, even if you don't have your EIN number and you don't have Dun & Brad, you're still responsible to have good bookkeeping, especially if you're given a service. And one of the industries that I see that's suffering this a lot is a lot of what I call freelance entrepreneurs, hairstylists. I can't even say Uber. Uber does a really good job at giving people their printouts of how much mileage that they've drove and how much money they've spent. But people that are like lash techs and, like I said, my hairstylists, my barbers, they suffer the most because they don't have a good system.
Even truck drivers, I will say that too.
Yes, truck drivers, absolutely.
Yes,
and I have a partner that I work with, and she specializes in truck drivers.
Oh, that's good.
Yes, she does. So,
so again, you guys can contact her.
yes,
truck drivers.
yes, and I can definitely get you hooked up. I don't believe in being the middleman. No, I got enough to do. But yeah, it's really important that you just keep good bookkeeping. And I recently talked to an IRS agent, and we talked about self-employed and what they need. And the ironic thing is, the IRS just wants you to have records. They don't care how you have it. If you need to write it on your wall, then that's what you do. But they just want to know that you know how much money you made, your expenses, what you actually have going on. That's the important thing for them. They want to make sure you're not overstating or understating your income. That is very important, because then that goes into fraud.
Correct.
So yeah,
And
you want to
trust
avoid
me,
that.
we don't wanna do
you don't want to do that.
So again, we want to make sure that we are setting the business up and the structure right. So Sean, give me some more advice about structuring the business. Once we've gotten, because we went through the first opening of getting your articles, we talked about your EIN, your Dun & Brad. We've talked about getting your state number. We've talked about even the business plan. So what is the next step after that?
Well, some of the things we talked about having that momentum again.
Correct.
Going into the year. A part of your business plan is you should have already started working the plan.
Correct.
So if it's going to be, you're going to go to capital investors, there's a thing I like to teach my clients called deal syndication. So a lot of times we always hear people say, well, it takes money to make money, and that is not necessarily the case.
Correct.
A good example, I had a buddy that was selling a Ferrari for $50,000. Anybody know anything about cars, it's at least $2.25 for that car.
Correct.
Right.
but he was going through a divorce.
Oh,
He didn't want mama to get it.
yeah.
So he was like,
Understand.
so he's like 50,000. Now, I didn't have to go use 50,000 of mine, but I knew a car enthusiast who enjoyed Ferraris. So, hey, got a Ferrari for 100,000. He was on it all day. So $100,000 come to the table. The seller comes to the table.
You
I
got
take my
your
50,
money? Yep.
give him his 50, and that's deal syndication. So that was straight 50,000 out of thin air. So
Awesome.
same thing when building businesses. When you're starting companies, if you're going to partner with someone or someone's going to be starting a business in that same industry, well, they can be the capital partner
That's right.
who can upfront the money. At that point, you can wholesale stuff. So if it's a particular product, let's say if you guys are going into selling hammers. Well, if you get the hammer for $2, but you sell it to him for $5, you made a $3 immediate gross profit every hammer.
That's right.
So you can get this guy to buy 20 hammers, which buys you a third of that or 2/3 of the same amount of hammers.
Correct.
So when putting your structure together, you want to also be thinking with other people's whatever, other people's money, other people's resources, other people's network,
Other people's.
taxes.
Notice he did not say
Credit.
yours.
Other
He said
people's.
other people.
Other
So
people's.
when you're in
That's the key word.
business, you're thinking about being creative.
Called leverage.
And yes, and leverage. Always you got to be on the mindset of doing something different. That what's going to make you stand out from every other company. Because believe it, also in Georgia alone, we have 100,000 people doing the same things. And I'm going to give you a topic in particular that I'm talking about. We have over 100,000 coaches here. So everybody and their mama wants to become a coach.
Yes.
But what makes you different and stand up from the next coach?
Exactly.
Everybody's doing life coach, transitional, transformation, this, that. Okay, what makes you different? So that's what we're talking about now. Putting a plan of action together, being unique.
Setting yourself apart.
Setting yourself up apart from everybody else. We're talking about what makes you you. So, and your business, most
Right.
important.
And that's called positioning yourself to be a category of one.
Correct.
And
It's
branding.
like, yeah.
Branding yourself.
That's essential.
That comes under branding,
Yes.
which is category one. It's like when you think of certain things, if you finish this statement,
Good.
what is that? Camel soup.
Yeah, it counts.
And everybody,
Right.
it's a remembrance that, you know,
Yes.
that I've been hearing that commercial since I was a little girl.
Right.
Yes.
And we know soup is a product. But when
Yes.
you think of soup, what do you think of?
Campbell.
Yep.
That's right.
Good to the last.
Drop.
Maxwell House.
House.
Yep.
See? So when you think of coffee, you think of that. You think
Yes.
of Starbucks. So things like that. So you want to brand yourself in a position where you are the category one.
That's right.
Everyone knows that I'm the number one generational wealth expert in America.
Right.
So again, you have to brand yourself and, like you said, set yourself apart because that's what an investor's going to look at. What makes you different from the other 10 guys that came to me wanting capital for this same business?
Yep.
But, you know, I wouldn't fret when it comes to competition because a lot of people say, well, Sean, there are 1,000,001 cosmetologists here in Atlanta.
Yes.
But here's the deal. When you go to the grocery store, on the bread aisle, there's bread from one end of the aisle
Correct.
To the other end.
all the way down.
But what
right.
makes you go to that Sunbreen or Nature's Own or Martin's or whatever
Colonial.
brand you get, Colonial,
Right.
whatever? What makes you go to that brand? What did that brand do to captivate your attention? So that's what we're talking about. Standing out from your competitors. What are you doing? Branding, marketing. Even at that. Now, let's talk about marketing a little bit since I did just bring it up.
Yeah.
Let's talk about marketing.
Okay.
What are your expertise on marketing? And I also want to hear your aspect on marketing
Okay,
as well. So
okay.
let's start ladies first. How
Yes.
about that?
I like it. Well, to me, branding it's you. And I tell a lot of my preparers this, you know, you have to sell people on what it is that you're doing. So for me, like you said, there are 1,000,000 tax preparers just in my county alone. So what makes me stand out is I'm a little different. I reach people differently. Okay, I do some Facebook lives and whatnot, but people who know me knows that my family is a dancing family. We love music. My kids dance. I used to dance. So what I would do is during the tax season, when somebody gets a check or something exciting happens, I get on my live, I play music, and I dance to it. And believe it or not, that's how I reach my people. And because I know that taxes is a very serious situation, but I don't want you to feel like you're walking into the building with the IRS agent sitting there. I don't want to be like, well, you better have this, you better have that. I'm going to say it, but I'm going to say it in a nice way. So when you leave me, you're comfortable. You're like, you know what? Sharon's cool. I'm very cool. But I still follow the rules, the regulations, and the guidelines of the IRS, period.
Okay.
I follow them. So that's my brand, and I kind of stand out with just the things that I like to do. And that's what helps me with, people, because there are a million taxpayers. You can go from one corner to the next. I have a Jackson Hewitt across the street from me, an H&R Block, and it don't even bother me.
Oh, wow.
Because people come to me because of me.
That's right. Your brand stands out from H&R Block, from
It does.
Hewitt. The people feel
Welcome.
personal. They feel a little person with you, and they
Very.
love your services and your personality.
Yes,
For me,
yes,
it
yes.
is a lot to do with
personality.
right?
Relationship.
And you have to-
relationships.
Yes, and
and I'm gonna give you an example. You've been on my show how many times now?
3, 4.
A lot.
Yeah.
And it's about the relationship that we have as being in the industry of I feel comfortable with his service and his knowledge, his wealth of knowledge that he has, and he's willing to give it to our community. So again, that is what drawn me to him. Even with meeting you, and we spent a couple of
On the
moments
phone. On the phone.
It was like, wow, yeah, I definitely want you to come on and let's talk about this. So you build this, friendships differently. I mean, I've met so many people on Facebook now, and especially since the show came about, where I'm meeting some wonderful people that has definitely made a difference or impact in my life to
Right.
be able to share the information to the community, and that's
Right.
what it's about.
Right.
Because at the end of the day,
Absolutely.
we're here to serve as God expected us to.
Absolutely.
So yes.
Absolutely. You said the magic word.
Yes.
God.
What is your impact on?
Well, I think marketing starts with networking.
Correct.
Networking is
Yeah.
one of the first tools when it comes to marketing. And, most of the time when I meet people, I just have a relaxed conversation. I don't go to networking events like shoving cards in everybody's
business
faces
cards
and just so robotic and this and that. Because I don't believe in fluff conversations. I'm just, hey, I'm a C student, just want to see my way out of school. And I keep it real simple. So I just say, hey, I'm Sean. We talk a little bit. Hey, so what is it that you do?
That's it.
And whatever it is you do, I can guarantee you, I know someone who does what you do. So what I am, I'm good at connecting. So I'll connect two people together, and I walk away from it.
Right. You don't want to be the middleman.
Right.
Me either.
So I'll follow up. Hey, did you guys connect and everything? But so when you do it, and it goes back to service.
Correct.
When
Yes.
you serve enough, it's going to come back to you. So if you're out chasing the money's going to always run for you. It's like rabbits.
right.
You chase them rabbits, they're going to get away every time because you're not going to outrun a rabbit.
Correct.
So when you just put yourself out there. Hey, okay, you're in marketing. Hey, let me connect you with this guy. He needs marketing in his business. So when putting your business out there, people know you as the go-to person.
Correct.
Hey, you know what? Sean knows somebody that wants to invest in real estate. Sean knows this person, that person. But when you're marketing your business, again, you want to be professional in all regards.
Always.
And don't market. I don't like to use the word hustle. Our community uses the word hustle.
All the time.
Hustle.
Loosely.
Yeah.
Yes.
The definition of hustle is hurried, busy movements.
Okay.
A hamster on a wheel is hurriedly busy doing movements. Okay? And the other word is I'm on my grind. Okay, let's break that down by definition. Grind means to break down into small particles. I don't want my life into small particles.
No.
I want to continue
Life is
building.
too big.
Yes.
It's
That's
too
good.
much filled
That's
with
good.
components. And you shouldn't put yourself, well, as I love to say, box yourself in a specific area or way.
Right.
You should think outside the box. And as you said, that you join people together, you get them to connect. But again, the terminology here in Atlanta, we're known. This is the mecca for the black entrepreneurs.
Yes, it is.
Yes, and I've heard that so many times
It's
over.
true.
But I want us to be able to have a conversation. Can we really just talk? I mean, seriously, can we really talk about the structure of business? Because I meet people all the time, all day long, and they have not a clue.
Absolutely. I recently went to a women's expo, and like you said, life coaches, everybody want to fix somebody's life, and that's fine. So my question to you is, when you're trying to fix my life, how your business set up? Are you paying quarterly taxes? Like, after I pay you, what do you do with this money? Like, are you really investing back in your business? So that is really, really important. What you just said is very important. So
All right, so Sean, the next step after marketing, I want to talk about what are the first steps, let's say after the marketing and we've gotten the business structure together and we've gotten a business plan together. We're now interested in pursuing getting a loan to help our business grow. I know there are several different avenues, and let's say one of them are the Small Business of America. We also have the Commerce that are very good at getting you to the small business plan as well. But what are some of the other information that we can go to once we've gotten this business structure together to be able to get some loans? So I know for a while you was talking about let's think out of the box and let's think about who's in our corner that can possibly help our revenue even though we might not have it. So what is the next step for that person that might not have it?
Right. What I do, I start in my backyard. Talk to family and friends, because believe it or not, your family and friends have a lot of money. Oftentimes, they may not let you know that, but there's a lot of capital within your own families. And with that, offer equity stakes. That lets people know, hey, okay, and also come to the game with skin in the game.
Yes.
So when you have skin in the game and you say, hey, look, I'll give you an equity stake in my company that I've started up, and you can work your way out of that. So it's like a lot of times when people watch like Shark Tank, that's the easiest way to explain this where most people can understand it. When people say, let's say one of the sharks say, hey, I'll give you X amount of dollars, $500,000 for 35% equity in your company.
Okay.
Well, most people, no, I'm not giving up 35%. Well, listen, 35% of $500,000 is better than 100% of zero that you didn't have in the first place.
And your business go under.
So you have to understand money. But see, it doesn't mean that it's going to stay 35%. Every year, every quarter, every semi-quarter, you can balance that back to where after 6 months, we're going to pull back to 20% or 25%, work our way down 15% to where ultimately they'll work their way out. But the thing is, you got to get the engine rolling. You got to get oil in it. You got to get fuel in the engine to get it moving. Once it's moving, now we can start letting passengers off, which are those investors.
Correct.
So that's some of the things we have to do is look at different ways to get the capital. Again, leveraging other people's capital. With our venture capital company, that's what we do. We go to investors, they see what we do, they give us a ton of money, we flip money, we move money. It's all about how you make money move.
Correct.
How you train it to work. You discipline the money. Then we give them back the money plus their interest, and we also profit. So that's a way to actually get capital into your company at a very fast rate. So anybody can go from the inception of a company and have a strong 6 figures by the second quarter if you know how to run your numbers and how to move the money. So, but you have to think non-traditional ways. Again, like we said, if you don't know about private family banking system, definitely get with me on that and we can talk you through that, because that's what we do in our family. And like with the kids, for an example, Caden and Kennedy, my 9 and 10-year-old son and daughter, they own their own businesses. They're 6-figure companies at 10 years old, 9 years old. Caden yesterday, he went out and worked maybe 4 hours and knocked down more than what an adult will make all day. So the thing with that is when we started their companies, we funded the money at first for like first month or two. They became quickly profitable in those companies that now return that money. Me and Mom was able to get our money back. And now their business has been self-sufficient for over a year and a half now.
But the key to that is that they have some phenomenal educators. So if you don't have a Sean or me or Sharon in your life, please take somebody's class.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
learn. I mean,
Absolutely.
you always need to invest in you about your business. So even me, I do a lot of different things, and people know that all over. But I constantly set myself up for training. In fact, I do training all the time. I'll take time off and I can't do this today. I need to do training. You always should be investing in yourself.
Education.
Educating yourself, your business. Even you have people that work up under you, which we're about to get into now.
Okay.
You have people that work up under you. You need to make sure they're constantly being educated so they can stay abrupt of what's changing. And trust me, your vision today about your business can change tomorrow. It does not stay the same. Even when I started my business, I said I wanted it this way. But I promise you, being the years that I have been in business, I have changed my structure 4 or 5 times, even rebranding it 4 or 5 times. And it's okay. But what I tell people, even if you fail, have the strength and energy to build back up or get up and start over, because it's okay. We're human. It's okay for you to make mistakes.
Yes, it is.
But a lot of time people feel some kind of way about making mistakes. Even when you're hiring employees, and that was a big one for me. Understanding the laws of what you have to do when you
What's a
hire
contractor
somebody.
versus an employee? It makes a big difference.
So now, since you said that,
Okay.
let's talk about contracting employees versus the W-2 employees.
Okay, so here's the difference. Your W-2 employee, as an employer, you tell them what time they work, when they come in, and what they make. You dictate what they make. You dictate everything it is about that employee. As a contractor, you give them freelance permission to make what they want to make, if that makes sense. So with my contractors, this is what I say to them. What time are you coming to work? What time are you leaving? I never say you have to be here at 9 o'clock, because then I'm changing my classification of who and what they are.
And make sure that that is a very fine line.
Extremely.
When you say contractor, she just told you, you're asking them what time are they coming in. When you say a W-2, you dictate to them what time they're coming in.
So recently, there's one profession in particular that the IRS finally decided to say, hey, you know what? These people are no longer contractors, and those are CNAs.
Oh, wow.
A lot of home health aid, at one point, they were giving them 1099s. Well, they're employees, because you tell them where to go, you tell them how much they're making, what time they're leaving. So the IRS went back and they had most of these home health aid companies to revamp the way they pay their employees, because they're not contractors. And I also want to tell people there's a lot of tools out there, and one particular book that I want to share with people is called Tax Savvy Small Business. This is a very good book. It goes through all kind of issues that come across small businesses. It talks about the S Corp, the C Corp, the LLC. These are terminologies that, if you're in business, that you probably should know. So if you don't know, you might want to get these books. And then on Facebook, I find myself now, before I was really against going to all these different groups, because people throw out all kind of information out there, and sometimes it's not real. But there's one in particular group that I'm in. It's called Associations of Black Tax Professionals. And in this group, even as a tax preparer myself, I'm learning every day.
Yes.
Every year I learn something new. And in this group, it was founded by a girl named Shonda Love, and there's all black tax professionals in there. And they're giving free tips. They're giving tips. And at the end of the day, they want us to be better tax professionals, you know? Okay. So yeah, get some education. Join some of these Facebook groups, some. Not all.
And
yes.
That's super important, education. If we can kind of get on that for a little bit more.
Okay.
A lot of businesses fail for the lack of business knowledge.
Okay, now hold on, I'm going to stop you right there. What is the year that most business fail, and why?
Within the first.
Thank you.
Within the first, and it's simply a lack of information,
knowledge.
Lack of knowledge and knowing what you're doing. You know, it's an old saying, measure twice, cut once.
That's right.
You know, do the due diligence to study.
Due diligence.
You know, in my real estate companies, I have to keep up with continuing education.
Same with us.
And taxes.
Oh, yes.
Continuing education. So if your instructor is not being instructed, you're in trouble. So one of the things we have to get in a position of understanding is we got to understand education. Yes. You know, as I'm closing out this fourth quarter, I look back over 2019, I spent $37,000 in education.
And that's not a lot of money.
It's not.
That's not a lot of money.
So that comes from a different, like a speaking coach, marketing experts, because here's the deal. Experts are experts at hiring other experts.
Correct.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So if I know something's not my vein of knowledge, I'm going to hire it out and source it out. But so many times we try to wear all the hats, and that's the biggest faux pas of self-employed people.
Yes, they do.
You know, we
they want to
be
do everything.
The janitor, the accountant,
yes,
the this,
gotta
the that.
delegate.
So absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, I have
So-
people ask me all the time, do you do tech? No. Mm-mm, no. I said, I don't even let the words come out. The moment I hit the tip, no, I don't do that. There are many
Send it
things I
over.
do, but that's not one of them. I quickly, and that was something else. One of the hardest things for me when I first started business was letting go.
Yes.
And I find myself still that today. I want to hold everything.
It's your
dear.
baby. You wanna
But
nurture
you can't
it. Yeah.
grow and become successful if you can't let it go.
Right.
Because just like you, business is supposed to run regardless if you're sleeping, if
You're
you're
not.
walking and breathing, if you're on vacation. If your business shut down, if you walk out the door today, you are not set up properly.
And that's many people, unfortunately. That's
yes,
many.
Yes. If they get sick in the hospital, your company need to still be making money. Not you got sick and the company did too, and it went out of business because again you got sick.
Yeah.
And the solution for that is you have to create a system-driven business.
Correct.
So a lot of times, once you have your processes and your systems in place, it runs automatically. It's kind of like we go to Alpharetta. We go to McDonald's, number one is a Big Mac.
That's right.
We go to California, a number one is a Big
a Big
Mac.
Mac, that's right.
We go overseas, a number one is a Big Mac. The milkshake
automated.
machine is
Across
broke
the
on the
board.
same
Yes.
day.
Yep.
So it's a duplicatable system. We
Yeah.
know what to expect. So again, when you have a business system in place, you know what to expect. And it's going to operate whether you're there or not. So now you have multiple hamsters running for you, which is called human capital,
Correct.
to create the income for you
Yeah.
so that you don't have to be there. Because most people, the way they make their income is based on the physical ability to perform. And back in many, many moons ago when I was in law enforcement, my trigger finger was it. If something happened to that was going to be the end of your career. Because a
Unless
police
you had
department,
Aflac.
hey, police company, police departments, they're ready to get rid of you if you can't come back 100%.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And without a trigger finger, you're pretty much useless.
Oh wow.
That's very
So,
true.
you know, that was my big wake up call
Okay.
in going into business for myself, is to realize that if something happened, that was going to be a wrap. You know, you got a spare tire in your car for a reason, right?
Yep.
Just in case. In
Just
case
in
of
case.
a financial blowout, do you have a spare income? So that's some of the things we have to ask ourselves, and you can do that by putting together system-driven businesses so you can go out and enjoy life.
Okay, so let's talk about you. Let's talk about how when you're in business, you're still supposed to do as if you was a W-2 employee. Do savings, set yourself up before 401k.
Pay yourself.
Right, pay yourself. So I always tell people this. Your company needs to make money and you need to make money. I understand in the beginning sometimes, most of the time you don't make money in the first year, most of the time, because you're actually trying to keep reinvesting yourself. So whatever little change you have, you're constantly reinvesting in yourself. But at some given point in time of your business, you need to be at that point where you're actually
yourself.
paying yourself. So
Yes.
let's hear about setting up that entity. What did that look like?
So, for most tax professionals, when you go into the tax business, it's a lucrative business.
Correct.
Very rarely do you find a tax professional who's not making money, because the overhead can be as small or as big as you want it. You can have a brick and mortar, you can do virtual, you can be however you want to be. I do have a brick and mortar. So for me, like you said, my first year was I was running like I'm making this money. I was just happy, and I wasn't setting up my structures correctly. So once I learned the correct way, I became an S corp, so that I can pay myself. So what I started doing was pay my tithes first,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And then I started paying myself. And then the business makes its money. So I am a W-2 employee of my own business. But as an S corp, that's one of the requirements, is you have to have a W-2 employee. And that goes back to other resources. I love doing payroll. I love payroll. However, I do use Gusto payroll. There's ADP payroll. There's so many companies out there that can automate it and do it for you, because I was doing it myself. I was sending the W-2s in, the 1099s. And I'm like, wait a minute. You're recreating the wheel. They are the masters at this.
Yes.
And it's okay. I got to pay them monthly, but it gets done, and it's my 941s are filed, my 940s, and I'm good to go.
And another important, essential thing that I must say about us, please stop trying to cut corners and say,
Yes.
I can do it myself. You cannot be the end all be all for your company. Be okay with letting yourself outsource
Yes.
You cannot hold everything in. I mean, like I said, when I first started, I made all those mistakes because, again, just like you, I have accounting degree. So I said, I can do it all.
I want to do it all.
Yes. And I said, I know everything and I can run the company and do payroll. And then the more the company kept growing, I kept saying, oh my God. It got to the point where I dreaded when payroll would come. I was like, oh my God.
Do I have to do this?
Yes. The best thing that came to me was when Wells Fargo said, can we help?
Can we do your payroll?
Right.
Absolutely.
And when they did that, they was like, okay, but let me show you what your business account can do for you. And that's another thing. Get to know your banking people.
Absolutely.
You need to know them like you're breathing and like your personal account. You can go in the bank and talk to them about anything, but that's what they're there for. They have a whole business section just to help you. And we're in the position where they're not going to help you. They are. They want you to succeed because, again, when you succeed, you bring money into them. That means they can use your money, flip it however they want to do while it's sitting in their bank. Leverage. So, again, as you said, leverage. Again, don't be afraid to go talk to them because that's what they're for. They're for to help you. So get to know them. Take a moment. For me, I remember when I first moved, I was very comfortable with the bank in the south side of Georgia, and then when I moved to the north end, I had to learn a new banking person, and I explained I had history over here.
Got to build those relationships.
And can I build a relationship with you? Now we have good rapport. I can pick up the phone if I see something going wrong. Hey, I see this going on. Oh, we got you. We'll call you back in 10 minutes. Let's handle it.
And they know who you are. That's a good thing.
Yes.
It's like when I go.
So when you walk in, I love the feeling of, hey, how you doing?
Hey, Miss Love. I'm like, hi. Yes.
It
feels good. Yeah.
And the cool thing about outsourcing those services, they're tax deductible.
Yes.
And that's what business owners got to understand. You got to move some money sometimes. Otherwise, you're going to pay a whole bunch in taxes.
Yes.
So you got to get good at knowing how to, like you said, hire the experts. It'll make the machine move so much smoother.
So I'm glad that we were able to share all this information with you guys today. We are going to do a part 2 of this because I feel it is very important for everybody to know their structure of business. I would love for people to know how they can reach you, Sean, and how they can reach you, Sharon. Can you please give everybody the information on how they can reach you as well as your social media and everything else? Yes,
our Generational Wealth Academy is genwealthacademy.com. We have several classes and courses on there. Also, SeanJHarris.com, which is SEAN, the letter J, Harris.com. There you can find all my books. I've written 27 books on business development and finances, and we also have courses, coaching on there as well.
Awesome.
I do have a question for you. Do you have any of your information on audio? Because I had a gentleman that came to the event that we did together, and he asked me, because he is a truck driver, do you have it in audio?
We are actually turning all 27 books into audio at the first of the year.
That's what I'm talking about. And Ms. Sharon, you.
I can be reached at Accountability Plus Tax Service, and accountability spelled with 1A-C. And let me tell you why I did that. Whenever you go look up tax service and you pull up A, I'm coming up first because I'm an A-C. So it's Accountability Plus Tax Service.
Marketing.
Yes. Marketing 101.
It is strategic too.
Yes. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. Accountability Plus Tax Service. And also I have a Facebook group that I recently started. It says, I'm self-employed. How do I file my taxes? It is free information. And the reason why I don't mind giving it, because if you're asking me, then you need my help. Eventually, you'll contact me. So, yes.
I have one last question. The book that you mentioned earlier, can you tell everybody the name of the book again and where they can get it?
The name of this book is called Tax Savvy for Small Businesses. It's a complete tax strategy guide, and it's by tax attorney Frederick W. Daly. Okay. This is the book. Okay. It's a great resource. I mean, and it's an easy read. The terminologies are very understandable because I know sometimes when you're talking about taxes, the lingo can get very confusing to people. It's a very easy read. I mean,
and where can we get it?
You can go on Amazon. Promoting Amazon. I love Amazon. You can go on Amazon and grab the book from Amazon. I think it was probably about $13, $14.
Okay.
But
and you also can visit their site. They actually is on Nolo as well.
Yes, yes.
You can definitely reach that that site and get that same book from them as well. If you have any more questions, please feel free to reach out to me. We are, like I said, doing a part 2 coming in January. This is the end of the year biz talk conversation, and this is unfortunately the last show of the year that we're having. We're going to do some small in between stuff, but this is the last show of this year. So I have enjoyed the 2019 year. I look forward into seeing 2020
century.
I
it's a
definitely
century.
want both of you guys to come back so we can do the
Definitely.
part 2.
Yes.
And I look forward to seeing everybody in the next century. As Miss Sharon said, I love you guys and thank you for being a blessing and for sharing for everyone. Find me on Straight Grown Talk on all social medias or Straight GT on all social medias. Love you guys. Hope you have a wonderful Christmas and a happy New Year. Thank you.